Before we vote on this nomination, I just want to express my deep reservations with this nominee and explain why I will be voting no, and appeal to my colleagues across the aisle to join me in trying to get relevant documents from this nominee from the Congressional Research Service. This is a nominee who was before the committee last September, I believe it was. We have a pattern from this nominee of stonewalling this committee, misleading this committee, and now she's doing the same with, frankly, very disturbing whistleblower accusations that came to us at the end of last week. I'm sorry, I think it's been almost 2 weeks ago now. Let me just refresh here the record. In September of last year, when the nominee first came before the committee, Senator Portman asked her a series of questions about her statements made on Twitter. Senator Portman's staff had found these statements themselves. She had locked her Twitter account at some point when she was in the nomination process. They found her Twitter statements, which were highly partisan, I think highly inappropriate. She refused to answer Senator Portman's statements at the time, questions at the time. So I introduced a question for the record asking her to please give to us any Twitter statements she had ever made that had been available to the public. She refused, and she then said, do we have that board, guys? She then said the following in response to my question for the record. She said, my personal Twitter account is comprised of posts about my mystery novels, of which she's written several, events at the White House Historical Association, Pittsburgh sports teams, travels, and my dog. It was made private months ago before I was nominated as archivist. Now, we know from the Twitter post that Senator Portman found, this is simply not true. It is not true that her posts are composed of comments about her mystery novels and so on and so forth. We know that they are composed of highly partisan statements. When I asked her about this, I gave her a chance to correct this testimony. She said she stood by it. I then asked her, I went post by post, where she criticizes former President Trump, where she criticizes members of the United States Senate, where she expresses highly partisan views, where she suggests that religious groups should not be able to put up religious symbols on federal property, which is, by the way, not in accordance with the Supreme Court case law. And in all of these, she then refused to answer my questions. Now listen, she's entitled to have her views. She can say whatever she wants, and she can say whatever she wants on Twitter. But what she cannot do is lie to this committee. And to say to this committee that her post consisted of this, when we know from Senator Portman's research that's not true, is simply false. That's point number one. Thank you, Vijay. Point number two is after that testimony, a whistleblower, former employee of Dr. Shogan, came forward to my office. We have a normal whistleblower procedure. I'm sure you all do. We followed that procedure. I think she came to us on a Friday. We sat down with her as quickly as we could, following our usual procedure. I then called the chairman about this, and we're going to refer her allegations, I'm saying her because she's allowed her identity to be used, to the committee, which we did. The committee staff had an opportunity to meet with her. I understand they did again yesterday. And I will just tell you, and I know you all are aware of this because I've sent you all my letter that references the allegations that were made. The whistleblower said that when Dr. Shogan was at CRS, she engaged in partisan conduct and abusive behavior, allegedly, that she allegedly made unsolicited statements of support for political candidates in the workplace, that she also attempted to organize signing events for her book on federal property during work hours for commercial gain. That's the book that features the killing of a Senator Langsford, yeah. Senator Langsford seems to be doing well, though, I'm happy to say. The whistleblower further alleges that Dr. Shogan engaged in a pattern of abuse, retaliation, and persecution, including undermining the whistleblower's promotion, and that Dr. Shogan failed to discipline subordinates who made racially derogatory remarks to the whistleblower. The whistleblower is a woman of color. Now, when the staff, as I understand, asked Dr. Shogan about this, she repeatedly said she couldn't recall, she didn't have documents, and she referred staff to CRS and said you should contact CRS to ask for promotion documents, to ask for documents about her workplace event with her book. So last night, I sent a letter to CRS asking for the relevant documents. And all I would say, drawing to a close now, Mr. Chairman, what I would say is I would humbly suggest and request that we postpone a final vote on this nominee until we get these documents that Dr. Shogan referenced but said she didn't have, she couldn't get us, and repeatedly referred us to CRS. So I've asked for them from CRS. I think we should get them and look at them and do our due diligence on these whistleblower allegations. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I recognize myself for a second-degree amendment that would direct the GAO to issue an audit of the U.S. Fire Administration within 3 years of enactment to continue and improve congressional oversight. I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting this bill, or this amendment. If there's no further debate on the amendment, the question is on its adoption. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Majority of members present having voted in the affirmative, the second-degree amendment is agreed to.
But, Mr. Chairman, we were just voting on your secondary amendment. Could I be recorded as a no?
Yes, Senator Hawley be recorded as a no. And Senator Langford is a no. Okay, now I go here. No. Which no? If there's no further debate on Scott 1, the question is on its adoption as modified by the Peters second-degree amendment. All those in favor? Say Scott 3. Or Scott Meeks. Scott 3, I'm sorry. If there's no further debate on Scott Amendment number 3, the question is on its adoption as modified by the Peters second-degree amendment. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. No. Senator Langford is recognized as a no. Senator Hawley. The majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the amendment is agreed to. We will now move to final passage. If there's no further debate or amendment, the question is on final passage of S559 as amended. All those in favor will